Thank you so very much for being back, and if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has declared a 2-week warning strike over the federal government's failure to meet its long-standing demands. ASUU President Professor Chris Piwuna said the action followed an expired 14-day ultimatum, accusing the government of neglecting issues such as the 2009 renegotiated agreement, withheld salaries, and revitalisation funding.
Very true. Despite last-minute meetings by the Ministers of Education and Labour, the union insisted that government proposals were inconsistent and disappointing. Professor Piwuna warned that a total and indefinite strike would follow if the government fails to act within the 2 weeks.
Meanwhile, the Congress of University Academics, known as the CONUA, said its members would not join the strike, describing ASUU's decision as unnecessary. The National Association of Nigerian Students and NANS urged quick resolution to prevent further disruption.
Government officials, however, accused ASUU of rejecting dialogue efforts, saying the strike was pre-planned despite ongoing negotiations and renewed commitment from President Tinubu's administration.
Let's get talking. We still have Barrister Francis. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for hugging on. All right, so let's get into this discussion. It's been a perennial issue. From the 80s to the 90s, it's often been ASUU strike. It's even better now. You know, back in the days in the 80s, 90s, you see school being, people or students being out of school for years. A course that should last for 4 years is ending 7 years.
No, 8 years.
Right. So what do you think? Do you think we've gotten it better? And maybe the ASUU members are becoming too pressing forward for something that is really not needful at this point?
Well, this whole thing is a paradox, okay, because we actually got a lot of universities built under the military regime, and in that same regime, you had more strike.
Yes.
Okay. Return to democracy, you have a lot of strike too, because the Nigerian government have never really committed itself to education, to improving the quality of education of its citizens. You understand? So that makes it very difficult to assess the situation. The only time I can remember that ASUU had an unfettered access to was during the time of Yaradua. Yes, Yaradua, wherein it's been able to put a lot of measures together before that one also break down. Now, this agreement they're talking about is the 2009 agreement. In that 2009, ASUU was on strike for 6 months, trying before they came up with that agreement. Now, they came up with that agreement from 2009 till date. The federal government have been shifting the goalposts.
Started with the good luck Ebele Jonathan's era.
Yes, Jonathan's 2009. That then it was the Professor. Was it Fage that was the ASUU chairman then? I can't remember. You understand? So the issue still lingers till date because the federal government do not keep to the promises. Every MOU signed, every agreement signed is breached by the federal government. The lecturers are ready to work, okay? But what they earn is nothing to write home about. A professor in Nigerian university earns about 400,000 naira, okay? And that's persons who have read to PhD level. If a person has read to PhD level and is being paid 400,000 naira, that is very unfortunate. 400,000 naira is about $250. $250. You can imagine. So what is it? What exactly is the person going to execute with that, having read to that level? So what they are telling us in effect is that reading to the level of PhD or becoming a professor is a waste of time, because the financial compensation for that level or that degree of engagement in academics worth 400 and something thousand naira per month. You understand? Little wonder not many persons are, eager to want to read up to PhD level. Not many persons because of the rigors. And what you have to spend to even get there, and you are not sure of recouping it. So Dangote had published, for employment sometime ago, where PhD holders applied as drivers and the rest of that. So we've seen all that in this country. The average teacher or the average lecturer earns how much really? Many of them earn 150,000. Okay, they are supposed to use that to buy a car, to send their children to school, to feed their families, and to show up for work, to impact the next generation. You cannot use poverty to impact the next generation. You give what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. You can be very intelligent, highly prepared, ready for work and all that. You can be capacitated by poverty. And poverty will reduce the quality of what you are delivering. You cannot deliver more than the capacity of your welfare, your motivation. You cannot be giving excellently well when the capacity of your motivation has been crippled. And because poverty also affects the mind, it calls for the quality of what is being dispensed to the next generation, because they may think they are learning so well and fantastic, but they could have done better. We don't know how much we are being misgoverned in this country. If we know how much we are being misgoverned, we'll take very serious measures to redeem ourselves. So when you look at it properly, let's now talk about infrastructure and facility, instructional material to even teach. Okay, lecture theaters, and how students will have to stand sometimes at the window to be able to, and in all this lack of funding of the university, the federal government is still approving new universities every day. We are still having new ones. We just got a university in Delta State. We're not complaining anyway, because we don't have federal presence all this while. We just got one. The only federal presence we had since was the prison, federal prison, Kwale. Now we just got a University of Science, University of Medicine and Health, something like that. So other states have been different universities all over the place, but the funding is a problem. Why can't the federal government, as a way of compensating this same society that have been voting them to power, that have been out there every year, every 4 years, to renew leadership and other, why can't the federal government invest in the education of the Nigerian child? Because if you invest in the education perhaps is the right of the citizen. If you look at the Child Right Act, it's a right of the citizen. Okay? But then the attention. How many times have you seen this government undertaking serious inspection of universities in this country, going around?
It does not even happen.
It's not the Lagos Calabar Coastal Way. If it were to be like Coastal Way, they will be there every day to prove and disprove to the people that it is the best thing that has ever happened to Nigeria after Agege bread. But nobody is undertaking any serious reform, any serious evaluation, any serious issue about the university system. That the university system has even changed the world over. It's not even a concern. None of our universities have a very low capacity. Some universities now can even run 2 sessions in the same time. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Some universities abroad, they run an online course to the tune of the population of their physical attendance students.
Okay.
Do you understand? When the physical attendance students are on break, the online comes into school
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? So when I'm talking about admission, even admission is better today because of the public schools, the private universities.
Yeah.
Unlike my time, it takes so much to gain an admission. With a JAMB score of 270, you are struggling to get admission. You understand? In those days, it is better today. But I think nobody's talking about the Minister of Science, Innovation, and something that's supposed to innovate this. Did not have results. He claimed he had results. You understand? So, nobody, the university, Nigerian university is an afterthought. Yes, an afterthought. Nobody's talking about how to improve on learning, the world is talking about AI now. You understand? And they said in the next 20 years that AI is going to make more millionaires than the internet have done for the past 45 years. You know, the internet was actually founded in 1980. Didn't take 45 years ago. Didn't become what it is today until the year 2000. And that from that time till now, that in the next 20 years, AI is going to make more billionaires, create more employment than the internet have done in the last 45 years. So how do we cash into this? It's just because the Nigerian society have people who are fast learners who can convert any of this app to something useful. You understand? Before today, skit making and content creation was not important. But today is even a discipline. Okay, people are creating courses out of it. Okay? But you understand? And we know how to take advantage of those issues. But our government, as a collective, as an entity, do not know how to create the enabling environment that will allow us to thrive in these respective areas. Rather, they will see the National Assembly and want to make laws to stop it.
So do you think concessioning it would be better when we concession schools, since it's becoming obvious that the government can't run them?
You know, the part of ASUU in that agreement was university autonomy. The 2009 agreement is university autonomy.
But the money they were stating the 1 trillion naira to every university, it's humongous.
Well,
who would run it? ASUU can't run it.
Yes, it's humongous. It's not ASUU that was to run it. They are talking about autonomy. The school will run it.
Okay.
But if you leave it off at that, the subsidy that the federal government provides may be affected if you talk about full autonomy, because the student will have to pay more.
Okay.
Yes, because in my 5 years that I studied law, everything I paid was not up to 200,000 naira. I don't think it's up to 200,000 naira. Can you use that to become a lawyer anywhere in the world? You can't. To study medicine, to train as a medicine in this country, as a medical doctor in this country, if in a federal university, I don't think you will spend up to 1 million naira. Nowhere in the world can you do that. So there's this subsidy that comes from the federal government. You have the NUC managing the university, and you have a university committee in the National Assembly, okay, that manages the NUC and all that. So when the government pay the lecturers and pay, it's not what they are generating from the school whole Sunday. You understand? There's a leveler. There's government
comes to filling the space and take care of.
There's a huge chunk of resources that is coming from somewhere else. So the autonomy too is not a well thought out, but it's an agreement they entered into. A few years down the line, they discovered that agreement is not realistic. Some things there, the people will have to. In fact, this even NER fund will not even save the people.
Today, NEL Fund is in a big crisis. They can't afford it again. Why? Because schools are on their own increasing the cost of their tuition, which is above what NEL Fund is.
So it's a crisis already. It's hanged already. You understand? So the government of Nigeria will need to take decisive measure to see how it can first maybe not everything can be met in the agreement, but these fundamental issues, improving infrastructure in the Nigerian university, is critical. It's critical. For me, I would even say that those federal universities are all in different states. Okay? Why can't you come up with a policy where the federal government will do funding and state will have counterpart funding?
The same states that can't pay their salaries and
Yeah,
can't even take care of their own private universities.
What else are we going to say? Because the federal universities, many of them, it was the state that wooed them.
Yeah.
Like for Delta, for Bayelsa, for, you understand? Many of them, if you take the state effort in having those universities, which means that they are interested. And those universities develop states.
Yeah. And communities.
And communities.
Where it's situated.
You understand? Where it's situated and all that. So if they benefit from the development, if they benefit from what it brings to the state, at the point where they are owing the federal government should use that period to strike an agreement with them. Let them have counterpart funding. The state can come up with a tax system under the state revenue board. Yes, they can come up with, every revenue gathered, they say 5%. We'll be using it as our counterpart funding for the federal universities in our states. Then the federal government can meet the. So it's an issue of planning. It's an issue of planning. I know of a church in this country that every revenue the church acquired, they keep 5% for CSR. Now, that 5% they keep for CSR, when it gets a particular amount, they will move into a community, take up a public project, finish it to conclusion and hand it over to the state, even federal projects. The Ikeja cantonment that was destroyed by bomb blast, it was Daystar Christian Center that rebuilt all the facilities. Applied to the federal government that this is the church CSR. This time around, they've built schools already before and all that. This time around, they want to undertake this project and replace all that was destroyed. And the federal government granted them the access. And within a space of a year and or less, they finished all those specifications and standard. And the federal government came to commission it. And they hand over to the federal government. So a state can have such collaboration. A state is richer than many churches. So what is it that the state cannot collaborate with the federal government to promote the image of those universities so that if the federal government is unable to cater fully for the universities, wherever they stop, the state can make counterpart funding. Now, when ASUU is crying out, ASUU will not just be calling the federal government. Each time ASUU is calling the federal government, the state will know that we too were involved. We should be able to come up. So the state should have laws or policies on ground that will support education. Because the truth is that most of those federal universities, I'm just telling you the truth, most of those federal universities, when you go there, they give admission more to the indigents.
Yeah, of course, The quota system is always there.
Yes, they give admission more. But the University of Jos then, I knew that a lot of the persons who came into UJ then, at the time we came in, had lesser jam score. We had very high jam score. We were battling to get in. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. So if it benefits them that much, they should be able to put something down to ensure that the universities have a new face. After all, the benefit comes to them. the immediate benefit really comes to them. So that is a strategy they can use, so that ASUU will not be shouting because the federal government all the time. The federal government itself is not ready to commit itself 100% into improving the universities. If a government have not improved universities, and the government have not catered for the people in terms of public health care, what has the government done? Because what else is in this life other than healthcare and education? There's nothing again. Healthcare, welfare, education, that's all. Every other thing is a wish. Every other thing you can aspire to get on your own. You understand?
Yeah.
But you cannot build a private hospital that enter you fall sick, you want to go there. You can't.
Well, sure.
But electricity, you can give yourself electricity.
Yeah.
You can give yourself water. Not everything you can give yourself. You cannot build hospital. Anytime I'm sick, I'll go there. You can't do those ones. Those ones we cannot do. Let the government do it effectively. You cannot build a university just because of your 2 children.
That's true.
You understand?
Yes,
So the government should be able to take care of what it must take care of. That is the only way that it can be remembered and be seen as a function. With this dysfunctionality is uncalled for. It's uncalled for because the resources to manage our own welfare, the way we are, depending on when things get better. If we don't want to be extravagant and flamboyant, we have it. We may not have the one that will take all of us to the moon and the sky, but the one that will educate us, the one that will put us in good light, and the one that will put our economy in order, we have it. So the government should dispense it accordingly and manage it.
Very well said.
Okay, this question, I think what I want to ask, I think he has been able to sum it up. It's more of like, how can the government and ASUU rebuild trust after years of broken agreements and, confrontations?
Yeah, they can rebuild trust by adhering to the terms of the agreement.
Okay.
Then the parts where they are not able to fulfill, they can call for review. No agreement is iron cast because this agreement is public driven. It's not agreement of businessmen that say we'll come and review and say no, we've already agreed. You can't claim. This one was an agreement entered in between 2 institutions on behalf of the public. You understand? So if part of it was not well thought out and the government cannot really fulfill it, there's nothing wrong in calling for a review. And that review will mean these solutions I'm talking about. You understand? Let us have all this. Then in those regions where you have companies, you can go and levy some kind of tax on those companies. Yes. The companies in that environment, the businesses in that environment and all that. That university favors them. Those businesses in those environments, when students gather, they will buy things.
Yes.
You understand?
True.
So they will buy things, they will use transport, so all those people running transport, all the people doing business, all the whatever it is doing, whatever it is you are doing, they must be able to drop something. You understand? That is how we run SUG now in the school now. How do you run SUG? SUG, then we collect levies.
Yes.
All the people selling around the school, all the people doing whatever it is.
Yes.
You come and do something. Any business you have within the facility, you are selling food, you are selling provision, you collect rent too. That's how we run SUG in the university. So the same thing applies. They should contribute for the benefit of society. If tax is well defined, people will pay it. It's only when it's not well defined and you're taking the money and you're not using it, you're not plunging it back into the system. That's when people will complain. Otherwise, if you are taking the money and you're using it, they are seeing roads, they are seeing facilities, they are seeing, they will know that the tax is working. People will come and declare that they want to pay. That's how it works.
All right, we sincerely do hope that things will get better. The third fund, that's the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, is there. They've done a lot, but not as much as they ought to do. NEL Fund has been included to that, though it's not doing as much as it should. About 400,000, according to the data they have given those NEL funds to, out of 1.9 million
Okay, yeah.
1.9 million
Yeah.
Nigerian students in public institutions. So they've only assisted about 400,000
They still have
of
more
them.
to
So we
do.
have about 1.5.
Now the tech fund, the tech fund you talk about.
Yes.
How did it come about? Was it not from oil, crude?
Yes.
That 5% too I talk
Yes.
about. That's how the tech fund was. I mean, then University of Jos, they donated how many buses? When
Yeah.
Buhari
Yeah.
was in charge.
Yes.
Donated so many buses to the University of
and
Jos.
laboratories, actually. They rebuilt
yes.
some of them. And
Laboratories and many. In the university then we could see many, even chairs.
yeah, you always see them, they inscribe, they write the dated for them.
Yes, always there.
Yes, yes.
And this was just 5% contribution somewhere. It's just for you to remember, even the resources that come to your hand, if you keep 5% over time, you can do something magnificent with it. That's what I'm saying. These are disposable income that you could have spent and not know that you spent them. But you keep them somewhere, use it to build, facilities. Even they say you should not tax religious institution. Churches should come and drop in some things, 5%, 2%, 3%. They will revamp all these universities. See, no country can run successfully demanding its government to take. That's why you have public-private initiatives, okay, public-private partnerships. You understand? Well, just because they say religious institutions should not be taxed, they just remove their hand from everything. Churches have a lot of money they can contribute.
Yes, very well.
You understand? They should not even be taxed. The federal government can open what do you call it? Something for voluntary contribution.
Except so.
If they donate let's say for just one purpose, let's say for tertiary institution only, because many of these religious institutions have schools too.
Yes, that they manage too.
Yes, many of them have primary, they have secondary, they have universities, many of them. So they know what it is. So if they can also contribute, this is in good faith. You understand? It's in good faith. When Caesar had sent his men to go and tax the disciples, because these people are a group of 12, they're supposed to be paying tax. The fact that they sit people down and talk, people listen to them, and they benefit from the road from Jerusalem to Jericho was not built by God, not God that is the government of the day, the Roman government. They were the one taking care of the facilities. It's not God that named it Jerusalem to Jericho. It was a dangerous road, by the way. So everything that was ongoing then impels them to pay tax. And that's why when they came to them to ask for, Jesus says you give what belongs to Caesar to Caesar, and that which belongs to God to God. You understand? So the church itself understands the place of contributing financially to societal growth. That's what it means. So the fact that you now have contemporary legal system that says the church should not be taxed, does not mean that they will now just go silent. Because the church in the day of Christ were taxed. So it's a liberal government now. I don't want them to be in that pool. But they should be able to contribute something to the development of the country through, free and willful contribution.
Very well said. Nigerians are actually not afraid or scared of paying bills, but the issue is when we contribute such bills, are they directed in the right place? Such charge will soon be charged from next year.